restaurant tour, which I don't think we're going to ask if he will come back and give us some advice on how to run more restaurants like he did, and also now a real estate broker. Mr. Bendel, welcome to the show. How are we doing now? Did you miss the restaurant business at all?
Oh yeah, I've always missed the restaurant business. I probably miss not having my own bar.
Oh boy!
I had a bar since I was 28 years old. So
it
was sort of a place to
about
go
10 years
and
ago.
hang around, and
hang around, have a little.
Yeah, I kind of just sort of hung at the bars, many bars. I started the first one in the first bar in Pacific Grove. And it was.
But Pacific Grove is kind of a church town.
Yeah.
They didn't want any liquor license or anything like that.
Sure,
Until when was the first liquor license in Pacific Grove? Now that you're bringing this up.
I guess around 1970 something.
1970s? Did you have a liquor license there?
I believe. Let's see. Let me try to think, because I usually gauge it by the cars I was driving. So let's see. I was driving. I had a Ferrari, so it was.
So was it an old Ferrari?
74 Ferrari, so it had to be 72. Because I had a 911 72. Yeah, that's how I gauge them. It's kind of funny how you can gauge life by the car you drive.
Was that the only one here in the area, Ferrari?
Well, it wasn't like nowadays where Ferraris are like Chevrolets around here.
Yeah, Chevrolet, yeah.
But no, it was fun to always be able to have those cars.
What kind of Ferrari was that? A Dino? Or was
that was a 74. I bought a new Dino. I ordered from the factory.
Wow. How much did it cost in those days?
It was only $18,400, and it was a trick one. I mean, I ordered it with different wheels, different tires, different seats, everything, flares, But you could order in those days. You could order them straight from the factory the way you wanted them.
And was it red? Red or black?
Red with black inside, and a wonderful car.
Those guys
it's probably worth about $600,000 today.
If you had it.
If I had it, yeah. Could have retired on all the cars I've had. Yeah.
Why did you get rid of it? I mean, you just
I don't know.
more?
I probably was trying to make payroll or something. When you're in the restaurant business, there's ups and downs in restaurants.
One month is good, the next down is down.
No, it probably was. I used to buy these cars, these high-end cars, and I would drive them for about a year or two, and usually sell them for more than I paid for them.
Of course.
And you could do that in those days, so it was kind of a fun
time.
Yeah,
I think you can do that nowadays too. I mean, you buy one of those.
A lot of the guys are doing that. They'll order them and sell them before they get them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but you got to have some real money nowadays to do
Well, yeah,
they've
gone to $1 billion. Yeah. Those cars.
But yeah, when I opened that first bar in Pacific Grove. It was called the King's Cross Station.
King's Cross. Where's that? What was that?
That was up on Forest Hill, and it had a great. It was a British. I created a British railway station, and it was really one of the real hot bars in its day. I mean, in those days, people drank.
Yeah.
So you 4, 5, 10 drinks every guy.
Yeah, but how much was the drinks then? $2?
My well was $1.25.
Wow.
Yeah. But it was it was a great place. It was my first. I was only like 28 when I opened that place.
10 years ago. So
yeah, it was a little while ago. But it was fun because I had wonderful ladies. I had entertainment 7 nights a week. It was just a happening place because of the Presidio. All of those people hung out, and being the first bar in Pacific Grove, so it was something. And in those days, I paid $125,000 for the liquor license.
One time.
Yeah.
You kidding?
That's what they cost in those days, and people.
$125,000.
Yeah, and $125,000 would be like $500,000 today.
Well, they're not that.
Now they're nothing. Now that they changed the way they bought and sold liquor licenses.
Well, you can buy a liquor license for a private individual that has kept the license for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now it's 10 or 20 grand. Yeah, it's not a lot of money now.
Because I had one in Malibu that I won in the lottery.
Oh, really?
It cost me $6,000.
Yeah, I mean, those are the kind of things.
And then they gain,
Yeah. But they still, I think nowadays are maybe 25 grand or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not a big deal anymore. But it's also not a big deal. People don't drink like they used to.
No, because
so there wasn't that profit
of
margin involved.
And I think the drunk driving ticket is about big time money.
Yeah, they kind of ruined the restaurant and the booze business.
True, yeah, because
maybe they saved some lives, but I hope they did.
Yeah,
I always make jokes about it, though. I go. Well, I shouldn't make jokes about it, but the joke is that I bet you there's a whole lot more deaths by restaurant owners now because they can't make their payroll.
No, it is happening all the time. It's happening everywhere, and it's new, and new restaurants are opening. and then they go down and they just get a new one and another one and another one, and then a year or two by.
Yeah, that's it's what goes on. I do consulting, restaurant consulting, as part of something else I do in life.
Oh,
And one of the things, the very first things I ask when I get a client, I says, "Do you realize what you're stepping up to?" Because most people just have great ideas and they think a restaurant business is like cooking at home, like a party or something. But there's nothing close to that. I says, you've got to, first of all, I always say, let's play out your life once you get your restaurant. What do you envision? And I go, because I've yet to have somebody come to me that has never been in the restaurant business, that envisions what it really like. Mm-hmm. They've worked in restaurants, and then they think it's the same thing, but it's not anywhere close.
As being a proprietor to a restaurant.
Yeah.
So what do you? Let's say, for example, there's a guy that usually have no experience in the restaurant business. They come to you, and then they have to pay the chef, and they have to pay all the waiters, and all the utilities, and all the other things. Licenses aren't cheap either, to pay, and because, I mean, the health department costs a lot more now. The permit for it, they hit you with about $800 a year.
Yeah. Well, that's what one of the very first things I do. I says, before we talk about how much money you're going to make and why you're doing it, all that, I just want you to know how your life's going to be, because what your life's going to be is what you're going to have to live with. And what I mean by that is that when you come off a Saturday night, the next day you're busy, you've been tired. If you have a successful restaurant, one of the things you're either going to be successful or you're not, and more often is not.
Right.
It's called restaurant business.
Which is that? Would you say 85% of the restaurant business is?
I would say that only 10% make it.
Yeah.
In the
so
restaurant business, once you
failure.
start, and for any length of time. And I go, and I says, and one of the problems I can see with that is that they don't understand when they go in what it's going to be about and what the responsibility is going to be. Because basically the way our government, city governments, federal, state, all of them, they basically throw everything on you. And your liability for everything, you've got to take care of them just like your employees or just like your children.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And
it's your family.
And the way workman's comp works and all these kind of things, it just ends up being, just a nightmare unless you really understand what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to do. As I said, what you're going to do is if that most landlords require the hours to be open because they usually got you on some kind of percentage rent factor. And these are the kind of things you've got to know when you're going in, because it'll change the way you live your life forever. Because once you're in there and you have to be open 7 days a week or something, or you basically never get a day
all
off.
day long.
Yes, and it depends on how you set up your business plan and what you're going to be doing. But I break each one apart, whether it be fast food or a breakfast house or a breakfast lunch house or a breakfast lunch dinner house or whatever it is. It becomes a nightmare. And you become second to everything when you're the owner.
What about when you had the itinerary? You had breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah, that's an interesting restaurant. We had it for 25 years, my partner Joey Cavallero and myself. And in that 25-year period, we did breakfast, lunch, dinner, and there was somebody in that building at all times. In fact, we didn't even know. We never really thought too much about it. We have basically, we were open from 8 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock at night, but from 2 o'clock at night to we clean the restaurant in the late hours from 2 to 6, and then at 5:30 your kitchen staff comes in, right? So it was never ending, 365 days a year, 24 hours a day.
Wow.
And that was the commitment. There were 80 families that lived off of that for 25 years.
And you have the same cooks for that many years?
I would say over half of our kitchen crew pretty much lived there. Over those years. I mean, they were all related, wonderful people that worked there. But we provided those jobs. But that kind of a commitment to people just see a restaurant and they just come there and they don't realize what's going on.
No, they never do.
And then you have to basically maintain the quality for every meal, every time. You never can close. And it's some of those kind of rules and stuff that these are some of my beliefs about the restaurant business. You know, if you lose a customer, I was talking to somebody the other day about this. I says, like restaurant 101, never close, because if you lose a customer because you are closed, right, the odds of you getting them back, they might like where they're going better than yours.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It might
be closer.
It may not. It might be closer to their home or whatever.
Or they like the better waiter or whatever.
But the problem is
They
you
won't
might
come
lose
back.
them, and by being closed, you lost them, and you could lose half of the people the day you. Let's just say that you have to have a number count to make your restaurant crunch of 100, 200, 100 people a day. Let's just for fun say, right? Then you close that, you just lost 50 people forever, right? And you know how hard it is to get a customer.
There you go.
You've got to fight to get those customers.
Yeah.
So the problem is most people don't understand that. And then giving up every holiday, right?
Yeah, of your life.
I mean, in my lifetime, 42 years, every Christmas I was at my restaurant. And that's the name of the game. Because I've always, the way I made my commitments, I might have not been there 8 hours, but I would never ask other people to do something I wouldn't do. None of my employees.
Right.
So, you know, if I require them to work, then on a holiday, then I think I should have been there. And that was the commitment level. And if you're willing to make those kind of commitment levels, then you might like the restaurant business.
And you had not only one or two, but you have one of the other restaurants that you have to be on top of that too.
Well, I had multiple restaurants. And one of the things I can tell you, once you have multiple restaurants, then you have layers of management.
So it's easier for you.
It almost gets better. But like in that case where it would be like a Mother's Day, let's say, I would have 3 restaurants at the time doing Mother's Day brunch, right? So I would run to each one and make sure that all the employees saw me, and as many customers could see me too.
Yeah.
I wanted them to see me, so I do my table touches. I would run around and try to say hi to everybody, and also make sure that all of my employees know they saw me, because they can't. I can tell you, the biggest problem is people calling in sick on holidays.
They always do.
And I always say you can't. In working for me, when you went to work for me, you won't. You just know that you're going to be required to work every holiday, right? Now, a lot of people, I says, now if you want to make that commitment, and it's when they got hired, they would sign that they understand. Right?
That means rain or shine, you will come.
And I'd say the only way you can get out of this is to call in dead. You know? I'd make little jokes like that, but it was pretty serious.
Oh, sure.
Because the problem is you have to have them there. You don't have to maintain your quality of service. You have to have that station filled properly. If a waiter calls in sick, and all of a sudden he has 5 tables, and the other guy, what is he going to do? Is take 10 tables?
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And all of a sudden you have 10 tables, and this happens so much in the restaurant
20
business.
complaints.
Yeah, so you have to be pretty hard-nosed about, these rules. And it's the golden rules of restaurant.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's very hard to maintain that kind of crew, and then be all of them there at the same time. Because, like you said, they have no lives either.
No.
Because they go home, they go to sleep, and they come back.
Well, and that's one of the things too, is that we get to that point. So I go through that process of saying, okay, now you know what it's going to feel like, and then I go, I would like for you to get your feet wet in this before you really jump into the pool, And I says, and more often than not, they never think of these things. Right. I've never had somebody that's never been in. They've been in the business because they've been waiters, or they've been cooks, or they've been chefs, or whatever they've been, but they've not owned a restaurant. And when you own the restaurant, it's a different game. You have to sell your soul to it almost to make it successful.
And you never see your family. You just got to be a divorced man.
It's a different game.
Yeah.
Your family have to understand it. They have to understand that, yes, I was still there for my family. I mean, I really tried to be. I've talked to my children, all my 5 children, about it, and they all seem to think that I did a job on it. But I would go and be down there Christmas morning, right? Say hi to everybody and everything. But before I'd wake them up really early, because I'm going to go down there and be gone for a little while. They're playing with their toys. And then I'll be back for the evening to make sure that my wife thinks I'm home. Right.
Let's continue with this and more. and a little bit, but a lot more with all the restaurants you had right after this message.
In your basement and crawl space? An unhealthy home begins with problems in damp, poorly ventilated areas. The conditions down below nurture molds, dust mites, and result in a buildup of gases and pollutants that can cause serious illnesses, like asthma, emphysema, and some cancers. The pollutants work their way up to your living quarters, infecting your entire home. Wave ventilation, for moisture control and air quality, can solve this problem. The unit's unique technology is designed to replace the damp, stale, polluted air with dry, fresh air and maintain a healthy, comfortable environment all year round. Unlike dehumidifiers, there's no buckets of water or filters, and it costs about $3 a month in electricity. Protect your home and family. Get to the source of the problem with Wave Ventilation. Call now. Make Wave Ventilation your answer to healthy living. Satisfaction guaranteed.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
Anthony Sullivan here for the Edge of Glory, the best knife sharpener money can buy. It's so precise, it'll turn this plastic credit card into a precision cutting instrument. The Edge of Glory is no ordinary knife sharpener. Its dual-hardened teeth hone any blade to a razor's edge that'll put the bite back into your dullest knife. It locks onto any smooth surface, then just draw the knife, and that old knife is ready for more. We took this plastic credit card and tried to cut a tomato. Nothing happens, but 1, 2, 3, 4, and now it's got an Edge of Glory that slices like magic. Call now and get the Edge of Glory for just $10.99. You'll also get a complete 3-piece knife set. They're a $20 value, yours free. But order now and you can double this entire offer. You get 2 Edge of Glories and 2 knife sets for $10.99. Order now and find out about free shipping.
Call 1-800-617-9159 and get your Edge of Glory. But hurry, we're giving away a special offer and a second Edge of Glory and the knives with today's orders. That's 1-800-617-9159. Call now.
Okay. Hello there. Welcome back to Alberto's La Bella Cuccina. Today we are having a great conversation with a restaurateur of all times, which is David Vendel, which he is telling us all the experiences he had by owning 3 or 4 or 5 restaurants almost at the same time, which you probably had an army of waiters and bartenders and cooks on his hand every day and every morning of his life. And now he's kind of selling a lot of homes in Pebble Beach. Then if you have a couple of $1 million, call David Vendel. He'll take care of you. Okay? If you have, the money, just pay cash. Who cares?
There you go.
He'll take care of you. But, you have a great home right on the beach, right on Pebble Beach. Oh, something like that. Right, Mr. Vendel?
Yeah.
So tell us more about your experience. For example, I wanted to know, what do you think of now? You had the restaurants that they were high class, that they have that kind of a luxury restaurants. They sell the Latashes and they all of the incredible Nalaya wines and Super Tuscans and all that. You think those kind of restaurants they're staying there or they're going to go away? Because nowadays I go to a restaurant, they're supposed to be a luxury restaurant, it has no tablecloths. It has nothing on the table, and they don't offer you water or bread or anything like that. So is that super luxury? Are you paying for luxury or what? Or are you paying for the location?
Well, I think one of the problems that people don't really understand is the costs that are involved. A restaurant, basically, when it's running really well, it's netting maybe 10%.
Uh-huh.
If you've got a 10% net restaurant, you're pretty, I would call you successful. So when you're talking about 10%, when you've got to have linens and crystal and silver and everything, all of these factors go into that profit structure, And I don't think that people understand the values. When you sit down and you have tablecloths and table napkins, I mean, I don't even know the new numbers, but I remember every one of those things when you're talking about that. It's like, I used to order, 1,000 napkins or whatever it was, and I'd say, well, how could we be using 1,000 napkins over the weekend or more? And it says, we're only going to sell 500 meals. And then and I remember the linen people used to say, well, it's 2.5 times the amount, your head count. And I'm going, okay, well, how does that work? Because a napkin today's, I don't even know the new numbers, but I'll bet they're a quarter, right? Well, it's not a quarter. It's really 75 cents or whatever, right? To have a napkin in your hand. People don't realize that. That's the cost right? That doesn't mean, you know, that's what you're going to sell it for. So you got to have a margin on top of that, because on top of that napkin, right? And this is what you have to think about. Every one of these factors, there's layers of expenses. And
That are
most-
going into that 10%.
and people don't get why does a restaurateur have to charge so much, right? Because there's so many factors. A busboy, I think the minimum wage now is $7.75 an hour, I believe, in California.
$8.25.
Is at $8.25? See, I'm out of the business. But but it's not $8.25. I remember when it was 5 something, it really cost me 9 something.
Right.
You know, because you've got layers of things that they're throwing on. You
They
know,
don't care.
The government, all government agencies throw on the owner of a business or an employer that people don't ever know these numbers, and it's very dangerous. And these are things. That's why a meal nowadays, when you go out, if you're, you know, I don't know how they do it. How do you squeeze profit out of these small numbers? You know, and these factors have to go into your business plan.
Exactly. So they're going into you. I mean, let's say a party of 40 uses what? They didn't use 4 napkins. There's more than that. And the
Right.
waiter uses everything that the plate's hot. They use to grab a clean napkin. They grab the plate and then they throw it on.
I mean, that's what people don't realize. They don't realize that, you know, the cost of linens.
Yeah,
right?
actually, and
that's
there's-
only one little teensy piece, but that little teensy piece is your profit,
There you go.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, you just work for nothing.
Exactly.
If all of a sudden, if you're not watching where those napkins are, or who broke that glass,
Which are several every day.
or when they're throwing the silverware into the trash can, when they're cleaning the plates off. I can tell you right now, the old bathhouse restaurant for 30 years, I had silver that I ordered, right? It was silver plate, right? All the silverware, and it had a little OBH on it, right? And I after I was out of the business and I was kind of taking some of that stuff home, I thought about that, and I thought that was just something that I had to have, right? And I go, do you know how many of those are in the trash can?
Oh, billions.
We had a constant order of silverware going all the time, inventorying it every month, right? And that silver factor, right? I had to charge for it to create profits.
Yeah.
Now, while the people were eating their salads, I bet you they weren't saying, gee, look at that, silver plate, right? But I can tell you I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on that silverware over the course of those 30 years.
Yeah, if you observe that many times, they just grab the tablecloth like this,
Oh,
and they dump it right on the bag, the laundry bag.
yeah.
There it goes, like 10 forks on there, or whatever. I mean, silverware. I've seen silverware. I know. Then I go through the bag and I feel there is silverware.
Oh, they go back to the fact I used
Coffee
to,
cups.
Sure, I used to go to the Mission Linen. I had my Uncle John used to run Mission Linen, so it was
Really?
wonderful. John Catalano before he died, but it was wonderful. I'd go over there about every month, and he would, because we were kind of related, you know. He would save all my stuff.
So that you knew your
So
stuff.
yeah, and all of mine just happened. There was those fancy silverware with the little OBHs on. It's pretty easy, but you know that I would go to other restaurants sometimes, and I had seen my silverware in other restaurants. They would go through and do the same thing, and they'd go through the silverware pile and get it, right? So that's why I was always over there. I mean, and so these are the kind of things as an owner that nobody knows what the owners are going
Well, this
through.
kind of stories they don't know.
Yeah, they don't
have
know
no
that
idea.
you're over there looking through old silverware for your silverware, because it's real money.
Big
right?
time money. Big
Yep.
time money.
And the same thing goes with everything else like that, you know, in a restaurant.
In those linen sacks, I have found plates, I have found cups,
Yep.
I have found silverware, because I've been there. I've seen my even my own linen.
Sure.
I see them because these guys, they don't care.
Guess
They
what
just
happens
dump
when you're
everything.
home and you're enjoying your life?
Yeah.
Guess what's happening? That's why you bet if you're making the commitment to go in the restaurant business, make the commitment to sell you pretty much give up your life. Now, unless you want that life.
Yeah, well,
Now
yeah.
there are some pluses. You know,
Yeah,
I enjoyed my business.
I love the restaurant business. The restaurant business, and I love it. It's my heart.
I miss it. I miss it like crazy because I enjoy cooking. I enjoy. I enjoyed, 42 years of drinking wine, and having to do it as part of my life. Right.
There you go.
I've enjoyed drinking. I mean, I can't say how many drinks I've had in my lifetime. I mean, years ago, that's what we did. We'd have a couple pops.
And again, when you try your wines too.
Yeah, sure.
When you select your wines, you have a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
You really get to enjoy that part of
Go to wine
it.
tastings.
Yeah. I'm not gonna, I could almost sound pretty negative about the restaurant business, but it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle, and if you were called to it, it can be a wonderful thing.
Who can tell more than David Vendel? He's just owed so many restaurants,
Mm-hmm.
We have the original Tinnery, which was, when did you have that, 25 years?
I had it for 25 years. We opened that in 1980, and ran for 25 years straight.
Wow,
And,
could you imagine that? And it was working all day long.
Yeah, I mean, we did
5:30
really
they
well.
close.
That one there was busy. I mean, we used to do up to 1,000 meals a day in that restaurant. I mean, that would be a typical busy Saturday. It'd be 1,000 meals.
And also, that's not doing breakfast and lunch.
It's breakfast, lunch, dinner.
All of them.
Yeah,
1,000.
you do 200 or 300, 400 for breakfast on on like a Saturday,
Right.
and all you just keep. It just goes. It started at 8 and closed at 2, but it also went on into the evening. You had happy hour going 7 days a week. You got entertainment starting at 9 at night. You had bar menus. So that's just a typical day.
And it's a big bar up there at the Tinnery
Yeah,
in those
we
days.
had, in those, years ago, when the liquor business was good, we'd have that place packed, And so, we made some good money there,
Got to have the $10,000 days in there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what was the largest day? I think we had a $20,000 day there one
My
day.
goodness.
I mean, that's real money, And if you're netting 10%, you just made $2,000.
But that's it.
So, it can be good,
Wow.
But
That's it?
that's a different kind of business. I don't see any of them in the area doing that kind of business anymore. I talk to some of the older restaurant people, and the numbers aren't the way they used to be. There's a lot more competition, lots of small businesses taking it away. In those days, there were just less restaurants.
Well, especially in this town like this, I mean, putting all the towns together, there's an incredible amount of restaurants, and then some of them they opened 10 years ago. They're gone. I mean, there's some of them that they're in Cannery Row, behind Cannery Row. Also, there's 2 restaurants that they closed already. And why? Number one, like you were talking about, is the landlord that he wants more money.
Well, both of my restaurants, I mean, basically it's landlords. After a while,
Which is
landlords get greedy.
The rule.
Yeah, no, I can look back and I says I probably should have bought the properties that I was on, but the problem is they weren't for sale. So
Well,
what do you
did
do?
you have the Tinnery? Maybe once in a while you could approach.
Well, I had a first right to buy it,
Right.
but they've never wanted to sell it. Now they want to sell it. It's there and it's available.
The bunnies.
Yeah, but in these times, I would question even if I could make it work in that location, because of the overall expenses. First of all, under Obamacare. It's a whole other issue. I mean, I think Obamacare is wonderful, but if you're the restaurant owner, you sure wouldn't think so, because over 50 employees, you'd have to cover them. Which is great. I think it's great that that employers have to cover all their employees with insurance. I think it's a wonderful program. The problem is, if you have under 50, you don't. So all of a sudden, the guy next door that has a small mom and pop restaurant, he doesn't have to do it. So you're trying to sell a dinner here, and you're trying to sell a dinner there, and you've got to cover your employees. Guess where that comes off of? The
Yeah.
10%, right? Leaves nothing. So I can tell you, Obamacare. I ran the numbers. I had 120 people working on Lovers Point Corner. With Obamacare, it would have put me out of business.
Which is going to happen soon to other people. They have that kind of restaurant that is.
You have to, and
over-
it's wonderful that that they require it. I believe that it should be required that all employers have to have
all of them.
Or
Even
no.
the ones that they have one.
First of all, I don't even believe that employers should be involved in it.
No.
If you want to know what I believe that that's a government thing. It has nothing to do with
Right.
employment. And why do they throw it always on, the businessman?
Yeah.
I mean,
especially the little businessman.
and people don't think anything of it. They just expect you to do everything for them, right? and then they just call in, sick whenever there's a little party. I mean, that's pretty much the game.
Yes.
So, so the problem I find is that if you're going to be doing this, right, you have to know all these things.
I know.
And when I do my restaurant consulting, I go, okay, have you had enough yet? Because I mean, when I go off on
Right.
this,
Let's talk a little bit more about this, about all of these things that people actually don't know about it, how much it will affect the restaurant business, right after this pause. Thank you.
Ladies, this is just between us. Do you love the look of sleeveless dresses but hate the look of your arms? Then you need Amazing Arms, the barely there light as air fashion wear that lets you wear any sleeveless outfit in your closet and look amazing. Simply slip on Amazing Arms and fasten under your bust. Your arms will go from looking flabby to fabulous in seconds. The secret is an amazing, lightweight, four-way stretch technology that gives your arms a slim, beautiful appearance and blends in with any outfit. Amazing Arms instantly conceals wrinkles, flab, unsightly blemishes, and won't give you back bulges. Amazing Arms is super sheer, super light, and so super comfortable, it feels like a second skin. Just put it on and that arm fat is gone.
We all suffer from the same skin issues when we get a little older, and mostly it's the flab under this arm. Amazing Arms covers that issue completely, and you can wear anything you want with absolute confidence.
My arms are very heavy and flabby, but when I put Amazing Arms on, they look much thinner and slimmer.
I was humiliated by my arms. You would never see me in anything sleeveless, ever. Now that I have Amazing Arms, I can go shopping with the confidence knowing I look good in everything.
No more bingo arms, no more bulky sweaters. Beware of expensive, uncomfortable imitations. Now you can get Amazing Arms in black for just $19.95. But that's not all. You'll also get Amazing Arms in pearl as a special bonus. And if you call within the next 10 minutes, you'll get one more Amazing Arms in elegant lace, absolutely free. Imagine that's 3 Amazing Arms to go with any dress in your closet. A $60 value for only $19.95.
Which would you rather have? This or this? Order Amazing Arms today.
To order Amazing Arms, call 1-800-451-7088. That's 1-800-451-7088. 1-800-451-7088. Call now.
Hello, welcome back to Alberto's La Bella Cuccina. We're talking to restaurateur David Vindel. He's telling us all these great adventures of all the 4 restaurants he owned. He owned many of them. That now he says that he misses the restaurant business, but he doesn't want to be there all of the time. But he likes to be the chairman of the board, but not always in the restaurant business. So he can relax now, enjoys his family, and tells all the adventures and all the wonderful things adventures and experiences he had in the restaurant business with chefs and waiters and general managers of his restaurants. So tell us what you experience the most in the restaurant business that you enjoy. Like for example, they used to have a restaurant. They actually have a ghost in there.
Oh, one of our restaurants where 1833 is now. When I had it, it was Bindel's, and then it was in the early '90s. We had there. It was Bindel's, and then we turned it into Supremo. I kind of merged with a chain, and then that didn't work out. So then I turned it into Compadres. But in that building, there's supposedly a ghost and stuff. So there was a whole long story about all that.
Did you ever see that? Did you ever have this experience?
No. But some of the managers said they see things. But I think people want to see ghosts.
They were a little.
Yeah.
They had a little too much whiskey in them.
Yeah. But yeah, I think what I've missed in the restaurant business. Here's one of the things that goes on. I think is I was just watching Jane Pauley on television the other day, and she's just wrote a book on when you go into retirement. She retired, and then she wrote a book on making a transition into your retirement and keeping yourself busy. And that's kind of what happened to me when I got around 62-ish. I thought, I can't just keep doing this. And I was a little concerned because I was going to have to sign some big notes and some big things to rebuild one of the restaurants. And so I started thinking about, well, I better start looking at my life, and that's what I talk about when I do consulting with people that want to be in a business. I say that what you really want to do is really play your life out and see what it's going to feel like. I mean, really get the gut feeling of what it's going to feel like, because as you go through life, at least for me, I got to experience a lot of living.
Right.
I've really been lucky to experience a lot of living, and so I thought, well, I better. I enjoy being in the game. I really enjoy putting deals together. It's fun to see what you accomplish when you do it well, you know, and those kind of pats on the back are kind of fun, you know, of all the stuff you get to do. So I decided to go into the real estate business. And it's been a wonderful experience reinventing myself. I've had a lot of fun learning the business. I was lucky to go to work with John Saar when I first got in it, and I learned a lot from John. John's got some, I would say he's a little bit. He had a different way of doing business, and I what I like to do is study a business, and I study the players. And whatever business I'm doing, because I've done multiple businesses, not just restaurants.
Right.
I've had retail stores. I've had an advertising business. What I do is I study the players, and I study the players that do it well, and you study every piece of what they do. So in your business plan, if you're going to create a business, you study the ones that are the winners, and then you look at what. Really understand what they're doing, every piece of it, and then at that point you say, okay, how could I beat them? Because it's a game, and if you play it like a game, just like Monopoly, right? It's a great game, and if you can be in the game. So I had a lot of fun in reinventing myself, and then I went to work with Sotheby's about 2.5 years ago, and Sotheby's is absolutely a phenomenal program.
Really?
It just is. We have now taken over Brady and Bloom in Pacific Grove about a month ago, and then J.R. Roos we picked up, and now we're up to 145 agents in the 4 offices, five offices. I work out of the Carmel office mostly, and then I also keep a desk on Ocean Avenue in Carmel too. These basically with Sotheby's. You get international. It's an international group. We have about over 600 locations throughout the world, about 14,000 agents. When I put on a listing, it's an absolutely wonderful program where when I take a listing, I send it to New York. First of all, we put it together here. It goes to New York, and they put together a visual tour. They do it in about, I think, 7 or 8 languages. They break it all down. So it's fun to watch it, because I'll go on and look at a visual tour that they produce in New York, and I'll watch it in different languages. And it's really fun because it's the same visual tour, same words, but in different languages.
Wow.
And and when I went, I get over 25,000 hits a month to my website.
Wow.
Right, and it's mostly because of Sotheby's and how it comes in. When I was with John at John Saar, I was getting about 6,000 hits a month, and I try to get them, optimize them. We're linked to everything. So if you're looking at Zillow or Homes.com or anything like that, your home is presented everywhere.
So even if let's say, for example, they see it in Europe, the euro isn't dominant in there. They say a house here of $800,000-$900,000 down in Europe is $450,000.
Yeah.
So it's half of what and then tourists might come in here and have the opportunity to buy more, and this seller or buyer to get more profit.
If you're in Europe and you're looking at it, and they do it in Italian or whatever, and it'll tell you how many lire it is.
Yeah.
So it's really just a wonderful way of getting your home. Depending on the kind of home you have, I try to deal in the higher end homes, not exclusively. I mean, I'll take just about anything because I like to be in the game, And I have my partner Susan Cohen. She works with me on it all, and I have a backup in our office. I have 5 other people that work directly with the program, and they do our marketing. And they do, escrow management, And so it's a team of people when I take on a listing. It's a team of people. We've probably seven or eight people involved in it, in the program.
So
of
when you
selling
sell
their home.
one, you can sell one, you divide all that?
Well, everybody gets, different pieces,
yeah.
how it comes together.
But it's more often.
Oh, well, what I like to think is that we're doing it so much better than everybody else can do it.
Right, yeah.
And that's why you see a lot of teams. I mean, I don't have the only team for sure in town, but our team approach with Sotheby's is, as I studied it, I couldn't find a better program, and that's why I went to work with them.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of the way I've always tried to do any business I've done.
Right.
And that's why when we were in the restaurant business, we'd win every award just about you could get.
Yeah.
Just because we worked really hard at doing it perfect.
Right, yeah.
And I like to bring that to the table. And I demand that in myself and everybody that works with me.
Yeah, but they tell me it's not going to be in any other places like that. You were doing that as luxury. Now it's not luxury anymore, or any other places are luxury.
You're talking about in the restaurant business?
Yes.
Yeah.
What, is that going to be gone,
less.
or what? Is going to? I mean, not even the places right on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
They, you know where I'm talking about. They don't have 19. It's gone.
Yeah.
Which he was number one restaurant, luxurious restaurant without food.
Yeah.
But I mean, number one luxury. Now they have another one that's not luxury.
No.
And they don't have another. They have another one. What's it called? The
bench down below.
The bench.
The bench. You're talking about Pebble Beach.
Right.
Yeah, they've got the bench down below, and well, you know what I think has happened is that people don't realize how to eat out like they used to.
Well, they don't because
Europeans do.
Yeah.
Because they get to eat out and they get to enjoy eating out. I don't think people enjoy eating out enough. But the other side of that is because of all the stuff we've talked about, all those expenses.
Right.
I mean, all of a sudden, a meal costs a lot, but people aren't willing to pay that much for it. I mean, $100 is what a meal should cost. I mean that people go, ooh.
Per person.
Yeah, per person. I mean, the problem is when you go out and eat in the highest end restaurants, even in Vegas or any place, Las Vegas or New York or anywhere, those entrees now are, around $40, $50 for an entree. And then they charge, the problem is that you have to get that much to make 10%. So I think that, I just don't know where it's going to go. I think that I used to say, well, just make more money.
But
I mean, how do you afford it? Make more money. So work harder.
So, I mean, you mean that, let's say steak costs you so much, let's say the steak costs you $12,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be $45.
Well,
or some of them more.
People don't realize that, they just look at when they go and buy a New York steak at the grocery store and it's at $8 or $10 or whatever it is, right? They think, well, why do they have to charge $40, right? Well, because they got to cook it. They got to, people burn them, people steal them, right? You don't get, there's so much going on here, you can't understand it.
You got to pay the rent.
It might get old.
You got to pay the guy who's serving you.
I mean, all of that, those layers of expenses, line for line.
Yeah.
I mean, when I used to look at a financial statement, I used to call it, I'd look at every line. And I go, and as I was talking to my management team or whatever, I would say, oh, God, let's stay on this line. Because there's a lot of lines here, and they all have to be exactly right. I mean, every line, every point means something.
Of course, yeah.
Especially when you're only making 10 at the bottom.
There you go. Yeah.
When I was in the pizza business as a young man, I had a lot of fun. I used to call it my 100 pennies, right? And I think I learned that from somebody that was in the round table pizza business. Although when I opened my pizza parlor, there was only one round table.
Was that the round table? Or just...
Round table pizza, when I opened my first pizza
What is
parlor.
it like a...
Round table pizza parlors? Yeah, when I opened my first one, there was only one. And I went and saw it. It was up on the El Camino.
Oh.
And then I think I copied the second one. But I used to tell them, it was to management people, so that they'd understand, we're talking about pizza management people, right? But every business is basically the same.
Yeah.
You take 100 pennies, called 100 points, right? You put 100 pennies on a table. And
Dave, you know what? Let's continue more about this, because it's very interesting, the fact that you're 100 there. And we'll be right back right after this message.
Yeah.
Worth chomping and always show-stopping? Pop Chef, the new fast and easy way to make delicious edible creations your family will love to eat. Grab your camera to capture this gift-making fun for everyone. Watch, just choose any shape, press into your favorite food, then pop perfect hearts, pop super circles, or pop sweet stars into a mouth-watering masterpiece. Transform simple sandwiches into extraordinary ones for lunch. Turn regular fruit into a healthy bouquet display. Or create the coolest vegetable party tray that will impress any guest. No knife, no cookie cutters, and no mess. The secret is Pop Chef's 3-in-1 air-popping action that instantly shapes, pops, and creates all your favorite foods. Pop singles or more, thick or thin, so the kids will eat healthy again. And check this out. Use Pop Chef to decorate cupcakes for birthdays, cookies for special occasions, or make holiday treats that can't be beat. Store-bought fruit arrangements can cost over $50, but the same made with Pop Chef is just a fraction of the price. You'll receive the Pop Chef with butterfly, flower, sun, heart, circle, and star cutters, plus 25 decorating skewers, all for just $10. We'll even include this idea book free. Use the tips inside to make a Valentine surprise that's sure to get a hug. But we're not done. We'll give you our 30-piece special occasion set with unique designs free. Just pay separate processing and handling. This eye-popping, show-stopping 60-piece set is all yours for just $10. So start popping with Pop Chef. This offer is not available in stores, so call or go online now.
To order Pop Chef, call 1-800-721-5418. That's 1-800-721-5418. So don't delay. Call 1-800-721-5418. Call today.
Hello there. Welcome back to Alberto's Cuccina. We're talking about real estate now with the expert David Vindell. He's telling us about the hot properties that he has now, and we're talking about also the maybe the extension of restaurants that they're quite luxury, they're quite luxurious, and they're not there anymore. What do you think of that? I mean, like you were saying, now that they don't have tablecloths, they don't have anything else, they don't have those high-end wines that what's going on in here?
Well, I think people have been more concerned about the money they have.
Right.
I think, we went through a real slowdown there, a few years ago, and it's continuing. We kind of feel like it's coming back a little bit, but people that have money are holding on to it more. Especially in our area where you have so many retirees,
90%.
Pretty much their money's, they know where their money is, and you can't really get any margins on your investments, So, there's really, I can understand in an area like this, but if you're in a metropolitan area, it's different. We're just in a different area.
Yeah.
And I was in Houston a few years ago, and I was out on a Tuesday night, and I'm going, damn, I want to be here.
Packed.
Because it's packed. And the reason is that they have a lot of discretionary income. They're not paying everything to live here, right? Their occupancy costs, their housing is so much less than ours. So so if their rent is here, our rent's $2,000, it's $1,000, but they're making the same income. So guess what? They have $1,000.
Yeah, but they go
pretty
out
simple.
And
so
more.
That means they can spend $250 a week for dinner for two once a week, and it's not a big deal.
And they enjoy life more.
Sure. So we give up a lot here, and some of what we're probably giving up is some of the fine dining and stuff. I know myself, I don't go out like I used to, Not that, I've been out my whole life, so I didn't really care much. But in my case, I think I can cook better at home than any place I can go. So.
Well, you feel happier with your own family, and
I enjoy cooking a lot. So,
yeah.
I always plan. And Susan and I, first thing we say is what we're having for dinner tonight. We plan that all day.
Right.
Because pretty much as you get older, life gets down to what are you going to be eating.
So you want to relax and you have a great time and enjoy your meal and put your feet up and stay on your chair there and watch television or a movie.
Let's get back to this real estate thing now that I'm for fun. You got me thinking about it. Yeah, I do have a wonderful listing out in Pebble Beach.
Okay.
It's on 1700 Crespi Lane, And a good friend of mine redid the home completely. And especially your Fresno people, you know.
You hear that? Fresno people, if you need a second home,
yeah,
we have one in Pebble Beach.
Yeah, I mean, he's from
just
Fresno.
called David Vindel,
Yeah.
you know?
George Andros is, you know.
There you go.
You probably have people in Fresno know George. A great guy.
All right, so.
But he has a home that he restored.
Is that near the ocean or ocean
it's
view?
on 17 Mile Drive in Crespi on the corner there.
There you go.
It's a world-class home. This is truly world-class. It's on 2.3 acres, 7,500 feet. Just a wonderful home. The history of it was built for the Wheeler family back in the 20s. Hugh Comstock was a famous architect at the time, and so he built it for the Wheeler family. And then the Huntingtons of the Big Four Huntingtons, the Huntingtons owned it for about 30 years, and after that the Firestone family owned it.
Oh, I've been
So
there.
this is a home that has a true history.
It sure
and
does.
It's totally restored. Just an absolutely phenomenal home with absolutely phenomenal views. Beautiful Mediterranean villa.
Yes.
It's really one of the real classic homes of Pebble, and it's on the market for a mere $10,500,000.
There you go.
I mean, you could not replace it though. That sounds like a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money when you see the home.
You hear that? Call David Vindel.
Yeah.
Telephone number.
Yeah.
What's the telephone number to call you?
Oh, area code 831-238-6152.
There you got it.
Yeah.
So give us a call there. And you have a tour, no? You can go and see the house
well, you can
every
go on,
Sunday?
Yeah, we can go. You can go on my website and see a visual tour. My website is davidbindelproperties.com.
There you go.
Very easy website to use. You just touch it, and I won't bother you. I'm not that kind of realtor. I usually work with referrals and do a lot of business with referrals now.
There you hear that? So David Vindel, and he gave you his number, and it's very easy to get. Go to his website, davidvindel.com, and try to find a house there. Especially nowadays, the AT&T is coming right in February.
I've got a couple new ones, a couple nice new listings coming up too that that are not quite on the market yet. So if you're looking for like a 5-acre view property that has horses right by Point Lobos, another wonderful property that we'll be putting on the market.
Mayor, what, 20 million?
Oh, that one's only $3,995,000.
There you go. You can save money here.
Yeah.
Just talk to Dave Vindel.
Yeah.
Properties of David Vindel. So just go to his website, and you'll be able to see all of these properties. Now, going back to the restaurant business, we have only a few more minutes to continue with our great talk. And hopefully you're having a wonderful Tuesday, which is beautiful outside. And tune in. Remember, we're back on next Tuesday. Okay? So, David, what was your best experience you ever had in the restaurant business? And which one was your best chef that you remember that it gave you a great meal,
You know, we talked about that last time I was on, and I went afterwards. I thought about it, and except he's got my number, it's BI, but we talked about that, and I don't think there was ever one best chef. But what I can tell you is that we started the way I always started my restaurants. I brought in a consulting chef. And the consulting chef on the old bathhouse, I would say that's where I had the real quality chefs through those years. I brought a cordon bleu chef from Europe.
Oh.
He was a consulting chef. And so then we hired a sous chef from the Four Seasons in New York. And we trained him. And every single chef, I would say, was the benchmark. And then basically they had to do at least as good as that. Because for sure I'd pick it up if it wasn't. So if I saw something, I go, wait a minute. I go, that's not the way we do it here. Because the way we do it here is what we've established. And then we would then add to it. And I would say everyone added to it through all the years. There were times when some of the chefs, we probably had I don't wonder how many chefs we probably, over the period of 30 years, we probably had maybe 15 chefs, maybe 10.
Well, there's some chefs
there were some really good ones.
They have a name now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Julio Ramirez who started there
Julio
the first
Ramirez was there for years, and he was wonderful. Jeff Jake.
Jake now that he's at the El Dorado.
Yeah, Jeff Jake, you know, he left us, and I believe he went to Pebble Beach.
He went to Pebble Beach to become
the executive chef of all the restaurants in
right,
Pebble.
Yeah.
And you know, I always kind of think that maybe they learned something while they were at the bathhouse, because they all went on to do really wonderful things.
Right.
Many of the spin-offs off of our restaurant, they're still in business around here. Gino Abraham that has Allegro. You know, he was one of my managers back at the time
Really?
years ago.
I have no idea of that.
Yeah, and Scotty opened Peppers. Scotty was another one. There's been quite a few like that. Jeff C. as the Fish House, the Fish Wife.
Wasn't that Julio's?
Well, it was Julio's, but it was also Jeff C.'s. Jeff C. was a chef that I had at the. He's the one that bought it from Julio.
Oh, okay.
But he left us, and I, you know, these are all my friends still. I mean, we have parted company, but I used to always say the only thing better than working for me is doing it on your own, and that's always a better way, you know.
Right. Yes. Yes.
If you're willing to give up on your life,
Yeah.
that life, but then you get a new life, the restaurant life. You know?
The restaurant life, you be there, sleep there, eat there, breakfast, lunch,
love
dinner.
it, live it. You know, you sure get
Open
to
the door.
enjoy it. You sure get to enjoy your
Never
food,
be
though.
sick.
No, I can't call. You got to call in dead.
You gotta call that. I'm on from the other side.
Yeah.
Huh? That is something else. Being in the restaurant business, you can never be off.
Nope.
You can't call your mom to say, oh, you know, come and work for me. You have to be there at all times.
Yeah.
Correct? Yeah, you have to get there, open the door. You have the keys. You're the only one who has the keys. Or your other managers, you trust them too with keys and all that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, you have to create systems. I used to say it's very interesting when you say key. I used to say, I want to know, once we get to that point, what it costs to turn that key.
Yeah.
Every morning. How many dollars do we got to take in? How many meals? How many people? How many covers?
There you go.
Right? When you turn that key. And that is something that most people don't figure out.
Incredible to be in the business. Unbelievable. All the responsibilities which you have, bartenders, you have busboys, you have cooks, you have, oh my God.
And they all have to do it so perfectly. You know, every one. It's like a wonderful ballet. Right?
There you go.
I used to watch ballet, and I go, we do the same thing every Saturday night.
With food.
Every Saturday night when everybody's doing a perfect job.
For us, it's time to say goodbye to our public there. There's watching Alberto's La Bella Cuccina. We had a great time talking and chatting about all of the restaurants that David Vindel has, and which is now in the real estate business. It's giving you some great tips of these new properties that you have. You have a couple of $1 million. You can call David Vindel on his website, or you can watch his website actually, and get a better deals there. Just call Dave Vindel, and remember that we're back next Tuesday. So have a great day, and remember, always enjoy a great dinner at Alberto's Restaurante, 1219 Pacific Grove. Area code 831-373-3993, and call us for a reservation. Remember, I have 2 or 3 tables for you at any time. Okay? So when you're in town, come and see Alberto's, and we'll enjoy a great meal. Anything you like, you will have at Alberto's Restaurante. So thank you. We'll see you next week on Tuesday. Ciao.
We were already off a few seconds.
Okay.
Yeah. We didn't get to do credits or anything like that.
Okay, good.